What's going on, guys? Matt back again, this time for another college football ranking. Let's go ahead and throw up the Week 6 ranking. We had Clemson, Alabama, Oklahoma, LSU, Georgia, Auburn, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Penn State, and Florida. Starting with Clemson, they had a bye week. So basically all they did was workout, practice, while everyone on TV talked about how overrated they are. So basically just giving them a lot of ammo going forward with the rest of their season. Alabama played Ole Miss. They destroyed them, as you would think. Oklahoma played Kansas, also a blowout. LSU played Utah State, blowout. Georgia played Tennessee, blowout. And the only really good game out of the top 10 was the Auburn-Florida game, which ended up being a surprise to me. I picked Auburn to win that game. But Florida came out the victor in that one. Their defense played very well. Both defenses on both teams played very well. Neither offense really played great. It's just that Florida had, I think, 2 big touchdowns. One was a big pass where I think he like split hairs to get the ball through there into the end zone. The other touchdown was a long, like 88-yard run by the running back, by Florida's running back. But Florida won that one. Let's see. Ohio State played Michigan State. That was a blowout. They won by like 24 points. Wisconsin played Kent State, blowout. Penn State played Purdue, blowout. And then coming in number 10 was Florida, who, like I just said, played Auburn. So a lot of blowouts except for the Auburn-Florida game, which actually ended up being a pretty entertaining game. There was a lot of turnovers. I believe there was like 8 or 9 total turnovers. I felt like every time each team had the ball, they were turning it over. Florida's quarterback, what's his name? I'll think of it later. But I think he had 3 fumbles forced by Auburn. Their running back had a fumble. I know Auburn had some interceptions, and they dropped a punt return. So really sloppy game, as the experts predicted that it would be. But not the outcome that people thought it would be, with Florida winning. Let's go ahead and move on to Week 7. Week 7 ranking. Coming in at number 10. This is going to be a shocker to all of you, but if you know how I do my ranking, then it won't shock you too much. This is the only other undefeated Power 5 team remaining, other than the ones I have in my top 10, and it is Wake Forest. Wake Forest. Their best win, if I remember correctly, is over North Carolina, who has had a very up and down kind of year. I think North Carolina lost to App State, and then they almost beat Clemson. It came down to that. You could call it a bad call. I would have kicked the extra point and gone into overtime, tried to prevent Clemson from kicking a field goal with that game. But I've already talked about that game. That, to me, is Wake Forest's best win on their schedule, if I remember correctly. But they come in at number 10. Number 9 is going to be Penn State. They they blew out Purdue. I think they've blown out just about everybody. They haven't had a real test yet. But let's see, they play Iowa this week. And Iowa's number 17, I think. That'll be I think Penn State's first real test, and I believe it's at Iowa. So we'll see what Penn State can do against them. Coming in at number 8 is Wisconsin. They played Kent State, blew them out, as I said, and this week they get Michigan State. You never know with these conference games. Michigan State's known for having a good defense. I think their offense is pretty bad, though, from what I hear. So I predict Wisconsin to win that game. Let's see. Ohio State comes in at number 7. Yeah, 7. They have a bye week. They are the only team in my Week 7 top 10 that have a bye week. So they'll just get to work out and watch all the other games. Most likely move up, given the fact that there are 2 teams ahead of them that have to play each other. So one of them is going to be knocked out of the top 10. and Ohio State will move up just like that. Okay, coming in, let's see, 10, 9, 8, 7. All right, coming in at number 6, I have Florida. Big win over Auburn. I just talked about that game, but their defense played very well. Their Trask, that's his name. I knew I would remember it. Trask, he played well enough to get them the victory. He took a lot of shots, was sacked, and like I said, fumbled a lot. But he hung in there. He got injured, came back out. It was a real motivator for his team, and they ended up winning. So I have Florida at 6. Coming in at number 5, I got the Georgia Bulldogs. They blew out Tennessee. I know Tennessee started a new quarterback, and I believe this game was actually close in the second quarter, and then Georgia just ran away with it. Literally, I believe that their running backs ran all over Tennessee in that game. This week, Georgia plays my Gamecocks. It's a noon game in Athens. Really looking forward to it. I enjoy playing all these top tier elite teams because you really get to see what you are. You know, like Alabama. I think they ended up winning that game like 48-24 or something. So you really get to see how you measure up against these playoff teams, and that can only make you better. You know, we have a very, very hard schedule this year, but it's good in the long run. It's good, especially for our freshman quarterback, that he's getting all this immediately. He's already played Alabama, and he's about to play Georgia on the road. But, yeah, Georgia comes in at number 5. Let's see, number 4. Okay, so starting off with my playoff teams for this week, LSU. LSU played Utah State, blew them out. And this week, LSU gets Florida. I picked against Florida last week, and I was wrong, but I'm still going to do it again. I cannot see it's a night game in Death Valley, and Florida's offense, from what I can tell and from listening to the experts, is nothing special. Their defense is special, but I don't know if their offense can produce against LSU at night. I know LSU's defense has been getting a lot of talk about how they're not as good as the past. So I heard someone make the argument that, of course, their defense is going to give up more points because their offense is so good that the defense is on the field more. So, I don't know. You give up 38 points to Vanderbilt. I don't know if you can blame that on LSU's offense being too good and putting I don't know. I don't buy that for that specific game. I was very surprised that Vanderbilt put 38 on LSU. So LSU plays a legitimate defense with Florida. So we'll finally get to see that LSU offense go up against an elite, so far elite defense. Their toughest game was Texas, which I still believe is the best game this season so far, most entertaining game. So we'll get to see what Burrow can do against that defense and really get a look at how good LSU's offense is in that game. Thankfully for them, it is at home at night, so who knows. Okay, coming in at number 3, we have Oklahoma. Still a playoff team from last year, and it still hasn't lost. So, of course, they're going to remain in the top 4. Last week, they played Kansas, killed them, as they should. And this week, they played Texas. Huge game for both of them. If Texas loses this game, their season's over. There's no way they're making the playoff with 2 losses. They would have to make the playoff by beating Oklahoma this weekend and then beating them again in the championship game, I believe. That's right. This game is also at noon, so I will not be able to watch this game. I'll be watching the South Carolina-Georgia game. But should be a good one. We get to see Jalen Hurts go up against Texas for the first time and see what he can do against what should be a better defense than what they've played so far. But that should be a very entertaining game. Coming up at number 2, the Alabama Crimson Tide. They played Ole Miss, blew them out as they should, and this week they play A&M. It's at A&M. But the way A&M has played this year, they've been very disappointing to most people, including myself. I thought they would be more of a threat. I guess it's kind of a positive for us, given the fact that we do have to play at A&M this year. But with the way Kellen Mond has played, he hasn't played up to what everyone thought he would be, especially that Clemson game. That was a really bad game for him. No one really expects this game to be very interesting. I don't either. I expect Alabama to just go in there and beat Alabama, win by at least 2 touchdowns in this game. But moving on to the number 1 team, Clemson Tigers. As I said, they had a bye last week where they heard nothing except how overrated they are and how underwhelming they've been this year. So they play Florida State this weekend. It's at home. I think it's a 3:30 kickoff. I expect a complete domination by Clemson. Like I said, they've done nothing but sit around. Well, they've been working out and obviously practicing, but they've done nothing but hear all this negative talk about them and how they don't look like the Clemson Tigers of last year. I expect them to go out there and make a statement, kick the living hell out of Florida State, and make the argument that they should be number 1 over Alabama. But yeah, that's my Week 7 rankings. I'm gonna go back through it real quick. Starting off at number 1, Clemson, Alabama, Oklahoma, LSU, Georgia, Florida, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Penn State, Wake Forest. So we definitely have some better matchups this week than we did last week with these top 10 teams. Alabama at A&M, Oklahoma, Texas is obviously huge. LSU, Florida is the biggest game of the top 10. And then Georgia plays South Carolina, which obviously I'm invested in. So I'll be watching that game. Yeah, so in my ranking, we have the number 4 team, LSU, playing the number 6 team, Florida. So that's the big matchup this weekend. We'll see if Michigan State can pull off the upset over Wisconsin. And Penn State, Iowa also is a ranked matchup. Penn State being in the top 10 in the AP poll, I believe, and Iowa being, I think, 17. And it's at Iowa. So we could get a lot of shakeup. And even Wake Forest, I mean, they're not used to being very good, so they could blow a game every week. Who knows if Louisville can pull that upset or not. But, yeah, there could be a ton of shakeup this week, especially if Texas beats Oklahoma. Obviously, LSU or Florida is going to be out of my top 10 after this week. And if my Gamecocks can pull that upset, that'll be amazing. That'll be awesome. And Penn State, Iowa. So, yeah, a lot of shakeup. I think after this weekend, I might have my first one-loss team in the top 10. Because, as I've said before in other videos, I try to keep only undefeated teams in the top 10 until they start to whittle down. And I believe this might be the last week where I have nothing but undefeated teams in my top 10. So if you agree or disagree with anything, let me know in the comments below. If I missed anything huge, let me know. Please hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Please hit the notification bell for future videos, and y'all have a good one.